going to call the meeting to order. We'll begin with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation. You can't hear? This meeting is a meeting of the school board in public for the purpose of conducting the school corporation's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There will be time for public participation as indicated by item number 6. The board receives agenda item information and rationale for administrative recommendations for their thorough review prior to each meeting. I don't think we have anyone from the media here tonight. We have the Whitko FFA presentation has been moved to the April meeting so that more FFA members can be present. We do have a special presentation focused on success.
I asked our marketing person to put together a program for us tonight. Nate, go ahead and show us. This is all about good things at Whitko Community Schools. So, Nathan?
I'm here at the Whitko Career Academy. As he heads to Whitko High School as the new athletic.
The Wildcats are in position to turn things around.
Welcome to the 2020-21 school year recap. At Whitko Community Schools, there's a lot to celebrate. And with the daily buzz of so many sources vying for our attention, we thought it might be helpful to give you a quick look at everything we've accomplished so far this year. The school year began with the student registration amidst a pandemic, and Whitko helped lead the way by choosing safety first during the rise of COVID-19. Wi-Fi hotspots and tech support hotlines were offered for those with poor internet connectivity, and students could participate virtually with their classmates through remote learning.
Can you all unmute and say oinky oink oink?
Oinky oink oink.
Whitko also began same-day e-learning experiences and created new positions for virtual teachers. In September of 2020, the USDA provided free lunches and free breakfasts. That's about 750 free lunches and 300 free breakfasts each day to our in-person learners, and for our virtual learners, we also had a similar option to benefit from this program. We provided pandemic relief EBT cards when needed to help supplement meals 4 times per year. Mental health became a priority for our staff and students through partnerships with experts like Dr. Lori Desitels and the Bowen Center. Whitko provided conference-style workshops, and staff received the benefit of monthly newsletters from Jamie Davis. Whitko families and staff could also take advantage of 4 free mental health therapy sessions. Our transportation department brought clear communication to parents at both Pierceton and South Whitley by providing helpful maps with drone technology and setting expectations for safety with clearly marked entrances and exits, painted roadways and walkways, and characters on sidewalks to direct students during dismissal each day. Delay and closing announcements are now also provided in both English and Spanish through text, email, and phone calls. Buenos dias, gatos salvajes! At the Career Academy, students began their very own Student Organ Donation Advocates chapter. Over at the junior-senior high school, it continued to expand upon leadership opportunities through programming like Sources of Strength, and charitably contributed through community engagement with the annual Jared Day auction. Meanwhile, students at the Career Academy are being introduced to an abundance of opportunities available, and funding partners are excited to invest in Wildcat futures. Wildcats can take pride because amidst it all, district-wide, everyone found a way to put their best foot forward. Our schools remain strong while carrying on their traditions of Friday night football games, homecoming, school fundraisers, like the South Whitley Rise and Roll event, bringing in $4,959 for student activities. World Read Aloud Day celebrations, senior class athlete social media celebrations, and 6th grade elementary students earned their DARE certificates. With spring, we'll have track, tennis, and golf. And the class of 2021 will graduate on June 4th. Can you believe it? There's still more of 2021 left to come, and the Wildcats are not backing down. In fact, they're in position to turn things around.
New at 5, Whitko Schools is offering teachers and staff $100 to get the shot.
Leaders say vaccinating teachers is an important part of protecting the community.
That is 595 boxes of cereal.
So, board, we've got a lot going on. Thank you to our staff that's here tonight, administration. We've got some teachers here, central office people, our SRO. A lot's happening at Whitko, and we're so pleased with the opportunities that our students have. And I just wanted Nathan to kind of highlight some of that. And as you saw, the year is not finished yet, so we still have lots to do to finish up the school year strong. So it's very impressive as to what's going on. And the key is the personnel here at Whitko Community Schools. I mean, they truly make a difference in students' lives. So I just wanted the board to be informed of what all has happened this year and what a wonderful year it's been for student learning. So,
Thank you.
Next, we will have the approval of minutes. We have the executive session, February 18, work session, February 18, regular session, February 18, 2021, and then March 17, 2021. Are there any requests for reading aloud or corrections to the minutes? Do I have a motion to approve the minutes? There we go.
I move that we approve the minutes from February 18 executive, February 18 work, February 18 regular, and March 17 executive sessions.
All in favor, say aye. Oh, I need a second.
second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, nay. The ayes have it. The motion passes. Moving on to 4.0 department reports. First up, we have Pearson Elementary School, Michelle Smith.
Mrs. Smith is not with us tonight. She's recovering from surgery, but she did supply her report that you have access to at the board.
Okay. Thank you. South Whitley Elementary School, Brian Emmert.
Good evening. As you saw in that wonderful video that Mr. Haywood put together, a teacher about a month ago brought to my attention a neat video that was on YouTube of a school that collected cereal boxes, unopened cereal boxes for a food pantry, and she wanted to know how can we get this started here. So I took it to a couple other teachers, and they said, well, let's just do it. So I was thinking, oh, we'll get a couple of hundred boxes of cereal. Well, in that video it said 595, but when it was all done, it was 601 boxes of cereal that our students collected, enough to do a domino knockdown of the whole interior of our building. So those last Friday were delivered to the South Whitley Food Pantry, so we hope that all goes to some families who need that. I also want to recognize some sharpshooters, archers from our South Whitley Elementary School. The state tournament was held on March 13th. Lily Irons, a fourth grade student in South Whitley, placed 8th in the state for individual medalist in the bullseye competition. And Lewis Skinner, a fourth grade student at South Whitley, placed 3rd in the elementary male 3D challenge. And this past weekend, held right here, was a Whitko Invitational. Again, Lily Irons placed 2nd for elementary female, Lewis Skinner placed 1st for elementary male, and Chase Marshall, a 6th grader, placed 3rd for middle school boys. I just wanted to say congratulations to all of our Whitko archery team. That was great. And lastly, our 3rd grade students just finished up the iRead 3 assessment this past week. Our next assessment is the iLearn, which begins April 19th, and we're really getting prepared for that. So, thank you.
Thank you. Special Education and Curriculum, Ward Lehman.
Good evening. I'm not going to go through the entire packet that I sent you. I'll just touch on some highlights. March is Disability Awareness Month, and that's a big deal to me. It's a big deal to a lot of our teachers. And it's a big deal to a lot of our students. They've been working within the gen ed environments as well as the special ed environments to better understand the exceptionalities that we all have. And that's part of what Disability Awareness Month is. One of the ways that Whitko has embraced this and wasn't part of Nate's production, but I really wanted to touch on this. But Mr. Messmore's construction trade class here at the Academy have designed and built accessible furniture for our applied skills kids in their classrooms. And for the elementary applied skills, I should say. And this furniture will provide easy student access to materials and supplies when they're receiving instruction within their classrooms. The thing that I think is most impressive is watching those construction trade students really put the effort into that because they knew what they were doing was going to make a difference. And that's, Joe Luce talks about this isn't the career academy, it's an opportunity academy. What those kids were doing, we're giving an opportunity to our special education students to learn. And it wasn't something where we had to go outside, we did it here in Whitko. So that was something I wanted to touch on. Just real briefly, we are beginning to work as Brian had talked about towards iLearn. We did wrap up iRead 3. That was a success this year. I think we were all a little concerned based on the pandemic and how instruction has differed during the past 12 months. But that was successfully implemented. We're beginning to work towards getting ready for iLearn. And that's, I know the teachers and I know the administrators are all putting an effort towards that. With that in mind, we have developed protocols so that everyone will test this next session. The state is mandating that we all test, all students, whether they are virtual or not, will test. And because we cannot remotely test through iLearn, you know that, we're having to bring everyone in. And so we have created safe areas for those students, and we are doing our very best to honor the wishes of our parents who have decided to educate at home as we still deal with the ongoing results of the pandemic. Those are the highlights I want to focus on, and wish you all a happy evening.
Thank you. Okay, next up we have Jim Bumball with Transportation and Maintenance.
Good evening. I've just got a couple quick things here. I mentioned this last month, bus inspection scheduled for next Monday and Tuesday with the state police. Kevin Shoemaker, our mechanic's wrapping up, fine-tuning all the buses, make sure that everything is ready to go next week, and I'm confident that it'll go well as usual. We put the new yellow minibus in service this morning for the first route. It came in extremely handy. As I told you last month, that bus does not require a CDL licensed driver. So as long as they're DOE certified with a yellow school bus certification, they can drive that bus. It's really going to be useful for Whitko, I think. We can haul the general ed students on that bus and really save some time and money, I think, in the long run. So we're encouraged for that. Spring sports going full swing here shortly. It's going to be busy for sure, and I think all the transportation aspects of getting student athletes where they need to go is going well, and I think we'll be able to do that. Lawn mowers, we're finishing up the maintenance and getting lawnmowers ready to go to the buildings. It's going to be mowing season shortly. Mike Sands, I'd like to recognize him for helping out with that and getting us ready to go. That's all I got.
Thank you. Whitko Junior Senior High School, Jake Everett.
Good evening. Just here to highlight a few things and some late additions as we've had some successes actually in the past couple of weeks here. I just want to get to mock exams, kind of highlight our AP teachers and our AP students. They were able to participate in some mock exams to prepare them for the upcoming AP tests that are in May. All 9 classes that we offer in AP took those mock exams. Teachers were able to grade those on their own and give the students immediate feedback to help them prepare them for that test that's coming up. If they get a qualifying score of 3 or above, they get that college credit for that class. So we were able to participate in that. We also have some students of the month. Hannah Long and Deanna Podesta are the students of the month for the month of March for the junior senior high. Ms. Hambeck wrote about Hannah saying, a wonderful student, great work ethic, quietly active in school activities, and still maintains a high level of academic achievement and willing to help those around her. And Mr. Carroll wrote about Diana saying, Deanna has a great attitude and always puts forth great effort. She interacts with her peers and her teachers. So congratulations to both of those students. Also wanted to highlight the spring play that just wrapped up this past weekend, production of Our Miss Brooks. That was fantastic to see our students and their sponsor be able to put that on for our community and actually have that available to them. We also had our Winter Winds community performances, had multiple one of those from our band director to be able to present that to the community as well. Just a wonderful opportunity for that. I do want to highlight some of the archers from the junior senior high level that Mr. Emmer had talked about. So for that state tournament, Isabel Hughes placed 3rd in the bullseye for high school female. And Cassidy Skinner also placed third for the middle school female. And then for the 3D challenge, we had Cassidy Skinner, who was the middle school female state champion, and Isabella Hughes was the high school female state champion. So congratulations to both of those students. And then our Whitko Invitational, the high school female first place went to Cassidy Skinner, and then our high school female first went to Ella Rose. Our second went to Isabella Hughes, 3rd went to Jillian Starkweather, 4th went to Crystalyn Bradley, 5th went to Daniel Schutman, and that does make it a Whitko sweep for the high school division there. Congratulations to all of those students in there. And then our high school male, we had 3rd place Creighton Perkins, 4th place Caden Barnhart, and our overall female winner was again Cassidy Skinner. Congratulations to all of those shooters in that. And then the last thing to highlight that was just a recent addition was a the National Gold Medal in Scholastic Art and Writing Award for 2020. Pictured here on the television, our student Morgan Dick had earned that gold medal. She'd been identified by a panel of creative professionals as the most talented young artists and writers in the nation. This year, there are more than 80,000 students who submitted nearly 230,000 pieces of work. They only select 2,000 pieces of work to be given this honor. So that places Morgan in the top 1% of all submitted entries for her peaking at the pandemic that she presented there. So that artwork will be published on the online gallery at artandwriting.org in June. Her name will also be listed in the yearbook 2021, a companion publication to the Best Teen Art and the Best Teen Writing, which features the selection of work by national medalists. Mr. Malicki did say, winning a national award is an impressive acknowledgement to our art program and reflects our students' pursuits for excellence. The Whitko High School Art Department has won 44 national awards to date. So congratulations to everyone in that. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Julius is not here for Whitko Athletics, and Whitko Career Academy, I think Joe is not here.
He's not here.
Okay. So next we have Director of Social Emotional Learning, Kelly Goody. I know I saw her.
Good evening. I would like to share with you a few points just from my report this month, and I'll start with staff wellness. I shared last month that we obviously continue to monitor the health and wellness of our staff. That's obviously a very big priority for us here at Whitko. And one of the partnerships that we have for staff wellness is our employee assistance program through the Bowen Center. And so I worked with Ted Westerhoff from Bowen. He and I have had a relationship, through the EAP for about 15 years, and he's a wonderful asset as a community partner. And we are providing our employees a kind of a self-care, stress management 3-session workshop. It is totally optional. It will be offered virtual and in person. We will record it for those such as bus drivers who aren't able to attend. So I think we've got all those bases covered and are really excited to be able to offer that to our staff members. The next piece I want to update you all on is our Panorama platform, which just to share with all of you, our social emotional learning survey was administered to all of our students in our district. Our staff did an incredible job. So not only do they have everything on their plate, we're in testing season. I asked Panorama because I was a little concerned about our completion rates, and they had shared with me 60 to 80% is pretty much average right now, and in every building we either met or exceeded that. So I was really proud. K2 actually did it for all of their students, and then 3 through 12 administered it to their students. So that was awesome. And then the last piece I'll share with you tonight is our micro-credentialing update, and that was the opportunity afforded to us through the DOE. We have 4 teachers in the district participating, and they are continue to do a great job, and we are working on getting some information that will eventually be able to be utilized throughout the district. And what I love about it is that it's going to be, the teacher voice as well, the ones, down, working with these kiddos every day, and it's going to have their spin on it as well. So that's all I have for you today.
Thank you. Next, we have our superintendent update.
I just have a few things I want to share with you tonight, Board. Last month, you had an opportunity during a work session to talk through the Whitko Career Academy student scheduling and the schedule for the program and of what that's going to look like. Then you had questions that we had the staff respond to, and just so that we're all on the same page with how this is going to move forward. Because this year was really kind of a trial by error. With pandemic hitting the corporation and getting kids into classes and scheduling that. I just wanted to bring you up to date on where that's at. The high school, the junior senior high school, is going to start scheduling here right after spring break. So the schedule for the Whitko Career Academy, the 7th and 8th grade will continue as it was this year, because those students need to come here to get the related arts, the requirements in place. 9th grade, the Career Academy, we're going to start that with 9th graders. That gives everyone a good flavor for the various career pathways that are available. If a parent has, a question or comment, concern about their child being scheduled into courses, what the plan is moving forward, that parent will have a meeting with the counselors at the junior senior high school and kind of work through that schedule. Mr. Luce is not with us tonight, but he and Mr. Benedict tell me that they are completely flexible in the scheduling for students. So we're going to work it out. When we have kids that are high academic kids and they need to take some high school credit courses in 7th grade, we're going to make it work for them. Same thing with 8th grade. We'll make it work for them. So, that's the plan moving forward with the scheduling. So I wanted to bring you up to date on where that's at. I think it's a great thing for kids, but there is some flexibility there. So I wanted you all to be aware of that. So kids, they'll get their schedule, students will get a schedule, and then if a parent wants to come in and talk about that schedule with a counselor, then the people will be ready and receptive to that. So that's what we're going to do moving forward. Okay? Next item on my list, exit interviews for students and staff. I think we need to do a better job as a district, really kind of talking to kids when they leave and talking with parents when they leave. This is kind of an outgrowth of your conversation, and we're going to get better at that to find out why maybe a student is transferring out of district or why a staff is leaving the district. We need to make sure that we're collecting good data about that, and we're going to follow up. And I've talked with our buildings, and we're going to explore that more on Thursday as a staff, how that looks. You have a policy in place already about exit situations for students, so we're going to really kind of beef that up and make that really what it should be. So I wanted the board to be aware of that. Any parent that is exiting, we're going to have a conversation with them to kind of see why. The goal is that everyone, that enrolls at Whitko stays at Whitko, because we want those students here. So there's so many wonderful opportunities for kids, and we just want to make sure that they know that. Same thing with students from our neighboring districts. I mean, we certainly want those students to come into Whitko. They don't have to live in the district. That's okay. The opportunities that kids have in Whitko, they may not have in their district. So we want those kids here as well. So it kind of goes both ways. So I wanted you to be aware of that. That's in the works. Next one is our School Resource Officer Program. Tim Clark's with us tonight. Tim, I'm going to ask you to come forward. He had sent me an email about a fundraiser for the K-9 program, and I thought this would be an opportunity. If you haven't met our SRO, this is an opportunity to meet him. Kind of talk through what do you have going on with the K-9 program?
So right now, this is about this time last year that we got approval from both the town of South Whitley, where I am employed, and then obviously the school board last year to go ahead and move forward with this project. Obviously, we all know what happened 12 months ago. We didn't have school for a while. So that got kind of put back on the back burner for a little bit. I worked on a couple of grants over the summer, and then by the fall, a couple of those came back. It was actually right around Christmas time, so it was a nice little Christmas present. And then from there, a lot of momentum started to build. We kind of got back into the swing of things of working on donations and going after some other grants. I know the school had submitted a grant to DECO back in the fall, and it included part of my program in as a line item. I know that has been pushed back and pushed back. I don't know when we're going to hear back on that, but I think it's got to be any day now from talking to Joe these last couple of months. So in the meantime, between other grants and other fundraising, we've raised approximately $27,000. Our goal right now is $65,000, and what that does is that pays for a police SUV, both vehicle and outfitting it with the equipment to safely transport the K-9, and then obviously purchasing the K-9 and training the K-9. So we've made it that far. We either actually have money in hand or been promised that amount. So like I say, we're up to about $27,000. We're still actively, going after businesses, asking for donations, submitting grants. It's a slow process. We're getting there. Hopefully sooner than later, though. I mean, my goal is to have this in place by the time we come back to school in August, and hopefully that can come to fruition. Sometimes when you talk about ordering vehicles and having that put together, sometimes that can be a lengthy process, like weeks to months. So the sooner we can get, all of our funding in order, the quicker we'll be able to put this together 100%. Even today, I had 2 instances where I thought, man, we would have had if we'd had a K-9, we would have had it would have been great. I had one student this morning before the bell even rang. I got called into the elementary school to deal with a student that has some pretty severe social and emotional issues, and I spent almost 2 hours with that student this morning, trying to coax them into their room and trying to keep them from destroying the room once they got there. Situations like that maybe an animal may be more help than what me or another staff member can do. Then later at lunch today, I spoke with a student who had actually moved to this district. I'm not sure exactly when, but they came from Manchester. And apparently I'm not sure if it's their SRO, or I believe they have multiple officers that come in. They don't just have like one SRO like we do. And one of them has a K-9, and she just wanted to talk on and on about the K-9 that he has, and that's the only officer that she trusts to talk to, because she's had apparently previous run-ins with law enforcement, and that she really likes this officer, likes the dog. And then I told her, well, that's something we're kind of working on over here, and she got excited, and there you go. So everybody I've talked to has been really excited about the program. And I know talking to staff, I wish Michelle would have been here today. We had our DARE graduation 2 weeks ago. We had Kosciuszko County Sheriff's Department brought 2 K-9s in for the DARE graduation. The kids loved it. They were all, they had so many questions. We almost ran out of time. We almost didn't get our program in time because they spent so much time with the dogs and learning about that. We're planning to have South Whitley's deer graduation this week, and hopefully we'll have those same canines back again for the South Whitley kids to be able to see as well. But Michelle and I were standing next to each other during the presentation while they were doing their canine demonstration, and we were both talking about how badly we need something like this, if nothing else, just for the morale boost that it gives our students on a daily basis. And we just thought, this would be a great thing, especially for these kids that maybe either don't have a pet or need some of that extra love and affection that they don't necessarily get at home. I mean, we have, our poverty numbers, our free and reduced lunch numbers are, fairly decent as far as I'm concerned. And so we have a need. I feel like we have a demographic that we could possibly serve with this canine, if nothing else. So, like I say, she would have been one to speak on that behalf as well. And I'm sure, talking to Mr. Everett, I know he came from a school district years ago that had a canine program there, and he's been all for it. I know Mr. Everett's been all for it. We can talk about a couple of different fundraising ideas potentially later this year that may involve him. And so, so that's kind of where we're at. I'm more than happy to take any questions. I know sometimes there's a lot of questions when I talk about a dog. Everybody thinks it's just automatically a drug dog. That's not the main purpose. It's not even the focal point of this project. The project really is for our mental health. And I think once this program gets started, I think, a year or two from now, once it is started, we're going to look back and say, why didn't we do this 5 years ago? Why didn't we do this sooner? So I'm willing to take any questions if there are any.
I was wondering, is there a specific breed of dog that we will be when it comes to fruition?
So we're looking at hypoallergenic, so that way it'll better serve some of our kids that may have dander allergies. It won't be an aggressive animal. It won't be trained to bite or anything like that. The kids would rather have a German Shepherd. They keep telling me that's all they think of when they think of a police dog is a German Shepherd. But it'll be a hypoallergenic breed. I do have one prospective dog right now that we've kind of had our eyes on that is at a training facility now that I'm still waiting on a call. I actually was given her information today. We've had our eyes on it for a little while. We're working with the Allen County Police Department and their canine trainer, Tyler Harris, who is, he kind of oversees a lot of school resource officer dogs in the area. So we're working with him. He had kind of put me onto this dog about a month or two ago, and today he gave me the contact info for the training company, business, whatever it is, up there. So I actually got on a Facebook page today because that's the first time I've been on there, and there's a bunch of posts with this dog that I was kind of seeing some of its past, not really advertisements, but just they kind of spotlight their different animals throughout, and so it's kind of fun to go back and see this dog maybe at 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. But that's just one prospect. It is a little tougher, I think, with the hypoallergenic side. There's not as many of those options out there as what you'd see like with a Belgian Malinois or a German Shepherd, which is your typical like police dog.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you,
If
Tim.
people want to donate, where do they send it?
So originally we had set up a 501c3 account at the Whitley County Community Foundation. That way businesses could have a tax-deductible benefit to that. We've got donation canisters set up at multiple businesses in South Whitley and Pearston. I'm working on getting a couple more of those set out at some different businesses once they give me their okay. I had fully intended to have a GoFundMe page running by today. However, I ended up being very busy today, unfortunately. So that will either be yet tonight. I will put that live or tomorrow. So we'll have that up there. That way, that just gives us a broader reach. I feel like GoFundMe is just a very well-renowned system of fundraising, and it's just very easy for people to click, share it, and go from there. So we're going to see how much that raises. I know talking to Mrs. Smith and Pearston had wanted to start some type of fundraiser at the school, and I know the student council at the high school had wanted to also start up a couple of different ideas. So when I talked to Mr. Emmer, I think we're going to look into something possibly the next month for South Whitley. So there's multiple ways to do it, but the GoFundMe for just the everyday citizen is probably going to be the best bet. And they should look for that here on social media platforms here very soon. So I'd say.
So if I wanted to write a check or drop off some cash, I could take it to any building.
Yeah, if you could do that, we have. You could honestly even take it to the South Lake Police Department if you guys happen to be there. That would be another way.
Okay.
So, but yeah, if you want to take it to one of the buildings and give it to the front office at any of the schools, that would suffice, I'm sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for your hard work.
Final item I want to bring to the board's attention, Feed the Children. There has been a donation of 3,141 pounds of school supplies and PPP that's valued at, and check the math here, $67,373.88. So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. So I wanted the board to be aware of that. So that's good news for Whitko.
Okay, so 5.0 business reports.
We're going to have corporation treasurer. We're in transition. As you know, I'm your interim. So eventually Shannon Ebbinghaus, our corporation treasurer, will take over this part of the agenda. And I told Shannon we're going to tag team this one tonight. But I mean, we're going to work through our financial reports, and then later, when you have those under the finance report to approve, we would have reviewed those tonight. But Shannon's going to kind of start us off with these financial reports and just kind of walk us through these. So, Shannon?
All right, so we're going to start with the fund report, which is simply just a listing of all the funds with their cash balances through the end of February. The fund balances currently are in a very healthy state. The education fund, Fund 100 balance, is at $3.3 million. The debt fund, Fund 200, cash balance is at $1.1 million. The operations fund, Fund 300, has a cash balance of $1.7 million, which is very significant for this time of the year. Our rainy day fund, 610, cash balance is at $1 million, which we choose to leave as is. Looking at our revenue report, we are currently in the second month of the year, and to be on target, we would need to be at 16.66%. The education fund, again, Fund 101, is right on target at 16.58%. The operations fund, Fund 300, is at 3.63%, and that's due to the fact that we receive money 2 times a year in the form of property taxes. All right, moving on to our appropriation report. With this report, again, we're in the second month of the year, and we need to be at 16.66% to be on target. Both the Education Fund 101 and Operations Fund 300 are currently a little high in their percentages. However, we anticipate the expenditures to level out moving forward.
The final report there is the claims. So I guess if the board has any questions about any of the claims, and if not, we'll ask you to approve those a little bit later. So any questions for Shannon on any of these reports?
No. Okay, thank you. Okay, next up is public comments on agenda items. Attendees must register their intention to participate in the public portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting. Participants must be recognized by the presiding officer and will be requested to preface their comments by an announcement of their name, group affiliation. Each statement made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes duration. The presiding officer may prohibit public comments which are frivolous, repetitive, or harassing, interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement when the statement is too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, obscene, or irrelevant, request any individual to leave the meeting when that person behaves in a manner that is disruptive of the orderly conduct of the meeting, request the assistance of law enforcement officers in the removal of a disorderly person when that person's behavior interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting, call for a recess or adjournment to another time when the lack of public decorum so interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting as to warrant such action. We have one person who has signed up to speak tonight. Matt Gaff will be talking about Congress and Jim Banks.
Matt Gappa. I'm just a citizen here within the Whitko Community Schools. What I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight, I don't know how many, but I talked to Mr. Darnell before the meeting. So you have all been informed of what Congressman Jim Banks has done for us. And volume 167, number 38, page E185, I asked that all members of this community go to the congressional records, look up what he said to Madam Speaker of the House about the Whitko Community Schools and this school that we're in here at Laurel tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. 7.0 consent agenda. Are there any items to be removed from the consent agenda shown in items 1.7 through 7.3? Items are, any discussion? Items are passed as presented then. We have no business at this time.
Her mic is cutting in and out. Mr. Hawthorne's on it.
It keeps. Oh. Okay. That's okay. Okay, so we're ready for new business 9.0.
You heard from our SRO earlier, but he does have a request here for a fundraiser by the PE classes. So we're asking that that be approved. That would be a way to generate donations and pledges for the K-9 program. So we'd ask that you approve that.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion to approve?
I move that we approve the fundraiser for the Whitko K-9 project as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion has been made and seconded for the approval of the fundraiser for the Whitko K-9 project. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. Moving on to 9.2, permission to advertise the annual performance report on the Whitko website as required by Indiana Code 20-20-8-3.
The law has recently changed on the annual performance report. No longer must you publish it in your legal advertisement newspaper. I mean, you can't just publish it on the website. So in order for efficient publication of the annual performance report, I'm asking you permission to just publish that on our website versus publishing it in the paper.
Are there any questions? Do I have a motion?
I move that we approve the publication of the APR on the Whitko website.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that we approve the publication of the APR on the Whitko website as presented. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. 9.3, permission to enter into an agreement with the Whitko Classroom Teachers Association.
What we're asking for tonight is permission to enter into an agreement with the Classroom Teachers Association, better compensate our teachers when they attend training this summer. End result of that is better serve students and our returning students. I mean, we have started a big project with priority standards and instructional strategies and common assessments. We want that to continue this summer. The proposal that you have before you tonight would be that we would pay our teachers their daily rate, contracted daily rate, not the recognized hourly rate, That's at a lesser amount for 5 days this summer. And that would be as in the form of a stipend for summer 2021 only. And we would use the federal CARES money to make that available to our teachers, so it would not be coming out of our education fund. Then in addition to this, had a chance to look at what you use. You use Apex for online education at the secondary level. There's a process that has not been completed yet of taking what is in Apex and matching that to Indiana standards. So I would like, under the leadership of Mr. Benedict, our instructor leader for that, the director of our alternative school, that he would pull our teachers together in those content areas of those courses that we offer for up to 2 days, and those teachers would be compensated at their contracted daily rate, not the hourly rate, to really match the standards within Apex to the Indiana content standards. The bottom line is Apex is written for California, Indiana, New Jersey. It's taking the standards that are within Apex and matching those solely to Indiana standards. So I think the end result of that will probably be less activities for students that maybe just aren't required for Indiana academic standards. But the teachers, we want the teachers to go through and process that. And Mr. Benedict felt up to 2 days would be able to do that. And that sounds great to me, and that's why I brought the recommendation to you tonight. We, again, would use CARES and ESSER money to fund that, so it wouldn't be coming out of our general fund. But I think that's something that we need to do as a district as well. So we'd ask that if you could just combine those two requests into one and approve those tonight.
Are there any other questions? Do I have a motion to approve the entering of the agreement with the Whitko Classroom Teachers Association as presented?
I make a motion that we approve the entering of the agreement with the Whitko Classroom Teachers Association as presented.
Do I have a second? I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed? The motion passes. Moving on to 9.4. This is recruitment and retainment of bus drivers.
Jim, I'm going to ask you to come forward and kind of walk us through your presentation. The purpose of the recommendation tonight is really to take a look at what we're paying our full-time bus drivers and really kind of making ourselves competitive with other school districts. Jim's in a pickle, and we want to get him out of that pickle, and he's got a great presentation for you tonight that he's going to walk you through. You have a copy of it at your table tonight, so you may want to follow along as he shares this information. Jim?
So good evening again. So everyone here is familiar with the struggles to get new bus drivers. Fortunately, Whitko's got a group of drivers that currently drive and have driven for years and years that are dedicated, but we need to find ways to give them the incentive to remain as a driver, as well as to recruit new drivers to take on that next generation of drivers. So we've really struggled in the last couple of years. Last year at this time, the pandemic hit. The dynamics changed. I don't know if people started getting a little concerned about their health issues and things like that. And it got people thinking. So the struggle started then. Through the summer, we lost 3 full-time route drivers last year. And fortunately, we had a couple of substitute drivers that could step in, fill those spots. Well, that was great, but now we have 0 substitute bus drivers. Nate Haywood put on some great presentations on social media recently that I think really, if you would watch something like that was put out there, it kind of resonated, and I was hoping that I would get some calls and inquiries on how to become a bus driver. It didn't happen. So I started looking around at some of the neighboring school districts and some districts that are comparable to Whitko's size and kind of see what we're doing. But to get an understanding of where we're going with this, the Whitko bus drivers right now, starting out day one, full-time route driver, $63, $65 a day. 24 cents a mile, anything over 50 miles, $50 stipend for a plug-in, park their bus at home. They get 2 personal days, 5 sick days, and they are offered optional Aflac insurance. So what are the requirements to become a Whitko bus driver? And I hear this a lot, well, they're just a bus driver. Well, that's true, but the process, before they even start driving a school bus, fill out that application, they interview with me, we do a B&B records check to make sure they should be allowed on the road and a school bus to begin with. Criminal background check, a 3-day pre-service class, and before the pandemic hit, we had to send drivers to a 3-day class, and that was hit or miss. Usually the closest around would be like East Allen over in New Haven, so we'd have to send them over there. If they had other jobs, they had to take time off of work to go complete the class, which is a DOE requirement to get a certificate to drive a school bus in Indiana. After that pre-service class, there's an annual mandatory safety meeting that they need to attend. Pre-employment drug screening, as well as random drug testing if they're hired. A CDL physical. They require observation time in a school bus, 4 hours, and then drive time of 8 hours of observation. And then a pre-trip and skills test that they need to go over to New Haven to test for that. And I mean, there's just a lot required, and I think people see that and they're like, I don't want to do that. I mean, you've got to go through that before you even get the bus to begin with. So those are just the requirements, and then it's the CDL physicals are depending on their physical health. 2 years is the minimum, and if they've got other health issues, it's annual that they have to go submit to that physical to make sure that they're physically fit to drive a school bus. So I looked around to some of the other school districts in the area, and I'll not read all of these. They're in the package. So you can see where we're at relative to our neighbors. Some of the items I will, like Whitley County consolidated, their base rate higher. The base rate increases with mileage, and they offer longevity pay. Warsaw Community Schools, just under $15 an hour, and they consist of 2 routes in the morning, 2 routes in the afternoon. They have a $1,000 sign-on bonus, and that's required a 1-year obligation to Warsaw to collect I'm not sure how they pay that out. It's half when they hire and half after a year or what. They pay for all requirements to become licensed at Warsaw. Wabash, obviously the base pay is considerably higher. They have contributions to PERF. Manchester, again, base pay, and they've got longevity as well. Interesting here, Southern Wells, which is comparable to Whitko. They offer PERF. They offer insurance, short-term disability life insurance. Their base rate is exceptionally high, I think, to be comparable to Whitko. And then the extracurricular athletic trips, Whitko is currently at $10 with a 25 trip minimum. Southern Wells $11.85, 47.40 trip minimum, and Warsaw $14.90 an hour. So what can we do as a corporation to help retain and recruit bus drivers? And again, like in January, I had a driver that came up who'd driven for Whitko for over 20 years, worked in the cafeteria at the high school, and she came in and said, hey, I can't afford the insurance premiums. Me and my husband are paying $800 a month, and I just can't afford it. So she took a job elsewhere and just got out of this. And I asked her, I said, if we could offer something like that, and would you be able to stay? And she's like, you can't do it. And there she goes. So we can offer maybe PERF, insurance, bump up the base rate. And I had a meeting with the bus drivers, and I had a group, I think of 6, and they were bus drivers that had been here for years and years and years. And then we had first-year bus driver. And I just trying to get some input on, number one, what can we do to keep you here? And you've been driving for 30 years. And then what can I do to keep you here when you have kids in the school district? You have one that's not even in school yet. And so I got some good information, and basically they're not just doing it for the money. It's a passion. You got to have a passion, just like in any form of education here. If you don't like children, you're in the wrong business. So they're doing it for that, and to get up in the morning at dark 30 and go out and fire that bus up when it's 0. Make sure that first stop when you pick that student up, that bus is going to be warm. It's going to be in sound mechanical condition, so you're going to be inspecting it before you ever hit the road. They're more than just a bus driver. They've got that passion. They've got the requirements that the state and the government is telling them, here's what you have to do to even be able to do that, and here's what we're going to pay you. So, and that's where we're at. So they gave a lot of good input and what we could do. Mm-hmm. So they basically we're wanting to increase our base pay. Maybe add that retirement. And again, some of the bus drivers have been here and they wouldn't even, they're beyond that retirement interest. So that could help to maybe give an incentive for a 30-year-old, stay-at-home parent, maybe get into this. Maybe some longevity pay. Whitko had longevity pay years ago. Then the financial crisis in 08, 09, obviously we were looking for ways to cut. The longevity pay stopped. So here's these bus drivers that are hanging on, and they're like, well, there's no longevity. We're not getting anything additional out of this. The new drivers that are hiring on are stuck at that base rate of 63, 65 with no potential increase. Unless a raise comes along, they're not getting that longevity pay that some of these other districts are offering. The one thing I don't want to have somebody that lives in Pearson jump ship and go to Warsaw, or I know I see a Wall-of-Sea bus parked in Pearson. So I just don't want to see that. So maybe reinstating longevity pay, increasing the extracurricular pay, sign-on bonus, yearly lump sum to use for work-related type expenses. So that's about where I'm at now. So.
What we're proposing to the board, are there questions for Jim about the presentation? Anything there?
Thank you for putting it together. I like the choices that works for someone at different stages of life who would be drivers for us. So thanks for putting it together.
I think to be competitive, this is what Jim and I came up with. We need to increase that base pay, $5 a day for the full-time route drivers, and then like Lynn, like you said, let's offer this $5,000 stipend. And if the person wants to put it towards salary, so be it. We'll add to their salary for that. If they want to put it in a 403B retirement fund, we'll put it in that for them. Or if they want it to go towards health insurance, your bus drivers have contracts just like teachers do. So in my opinion, they're eligible for health insurance because they have that contract. So we can use that $5,000 if they choose to pay their portion of their health insurance. So the corporation would pay the rest of that. So that's our proposal to you, and we're bringing that to you tonight. We want this to be effective for next school year so that we can start using this as kind of a selling point and thinking that we'll be able to generate some really good interest in bus drivers. We'll be able to start the next year with a full slate of drivers and then really have a sub list that's greater than one. So we'd ask that you approve this, board.
Can I have a motion to approve the recruitment and retention plan for Whitko transportation route drivers as presented?
I move that we approve the recruitment and retention plan for Whitko transportation route drivers as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the recruitment and retention plan for Whitko transportation route. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? The motion passes. Thank you. Next up, we also want to look at substitute teacher pay. We're having a difficult time with that.
Board, in your packet, you have a request. I gave you a little chart here where substitute pay is at right now. Surrounding school districts, you can see right now for a full-time sub, their daily rate, we pay $75. And then if they have a teaching license, it's $80. You can see from the chart, I mean, we come in dead last there with the BS degree and then licensed teachers. We need to increase that. Our buildings, last Friday, Mr. Everett, I think you had 7 staff people out, and it was a scramble to fill that. When that happens, I mean, we don't have a pool to draw from. And it really goes back to, supply and demand. If a sub can make $95 or $100 somewhere else, then they're going to go there. I mean, let's make ours attractive as well and be a little more competitive in what we offer people. What we're proposing tonight for the sub pay is that we increase that sub, those folks that have a sub permit to $85 a day. And then if you have a valid teaching license, increase that to $100 a day. You can kind of see where we would then fall on the list here of our surrounding school districts. We'd be greater than some, but not as high as others. So we'd ask that you approve that, board, and we'll make that effective now. So if you approve that tonight, then starting tomorrow, that's what our pay rates will be.
Do I have a motion to increase sub pay?
I make a motion to approve the changing of the substitute services from Will Sub to Ed Staff as presented.
This one would be for the 9.5, up above. The substitute with sub permit $85 per day, and those with a valid teaching license $100 per day. Do I have a motion for that?
Okay. You good with that, Bill?
With that
Yes.
motion?
Okay.
And then a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we increase sub pay to $85 a day for those without a valid teaching license and $100 a day for those with a teaching license. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The motion carries. Moving on to 9.6, this is subservice.
Right. This is really, thanks for increasing that substitute pay. We also are recommending tonight to change our sub-service, moving from Will Sub to Edu Staff. Will Sub, when I've talked with people in the district, I mean, they're just not recruiting, they're not marketing our jobs compared to other jobs in other districts. So we have a good feeling with Edu Staff, their proposal that they've submitted. I think we're going to get much more bang for a buck with Edu Staff. So we'd ask that the board approve this. We have a 90-day cancellation clause with Edu Staff, so this could not be effective until 90 days from now. But we would immediately cancel our contract with Will Sub, and then move to Edu Staff at the end of that 90 days. But the explanation's in your packet there for you, so we'd ask that you approve that.
Do we have a motion to approve the changing of the substitute service from Will Sub to Edu Staff as presented?
I move that we approve the changing of substitute services from Will Sub to Edu Staff as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we change the substitute service from Will Sub to Edu Staff. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, say nay. The motion passes. Moving on to 9.7.
One thing that we've noticed here, we're asking permission to offer a payout to the school year classified employees that due to the pandemic have opted to be in attendance at work to cover sub shortage rather than use their accrued personal days above 1 day. Every employee has the option to carry a single day over for each year. So this is a way that we can help compensate our classified people. So we're saying basically this recommendation, you can keep your 1 day and carry that forward, but we're going to pay you for any days greater than that one. We'll just pay you the lump sum, whatever your daily rate is for that, versus you taking that day, because we need you to be here. So this is like an additional stipend for those folks as well, the year-round classified folks. So we'd ask that that be approved.
And that would be with CARES money?
Yes, that would be CARES money.
Do I have a motion to approve the school year classified employee personnel day payout as presented?
I move that we approve the school year classified employee personnel day payout as presented.
Do I have a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the school year classified employee personal day payout as presented. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. The motion passes. We're ready for 10.0, miscellaneous administrative items.
You have a thank you note that was received from the officers of the Pierceton School Alumni Association, so I wanted to bring that to your attention, board. So nice thank you that Mr. Luce received. So wanted to make sure that you saw that.
Thank you. And on 11.0, miscellaneous school board items, update on the superintendent search. We have been taking applications. We are taking applications through March 27th, and then the board will convene to review the applications together and then select applicants to interview in early April. Upcoming board meetings, April 19th, we have a regular session here at Whitko Career Academy, and then May 24th, we have a regular session here at the Academy. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn the meeting.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you, board.
Thank you.